Welcome to School Shooter. Written and narrated by Thorsten Nesch. A mini-series in 4 parts. 10:17 a.m. Drager looks at Nina. She's breathing hard and shallow. Her breath whistles as her chest rises and falls. With big frightened eyes and her mouth opening and closing with each breath, she looks like an exhausted fish gasping for air on a dry floor. Ella tries to make eye contact. Nina? I want to get out here right now, Nina says in a thin voice, avoiding Ella. She rises on all fours and then stands up. She walks determinedly towards the door. Basti rushes over and he and Ella each grab one of Nina's arms. Nina, you can't. Watch me. No, don't. Please. Basti tries to talk to Nina in a low, calming voice. Ella calls out, we should barricade the door again. Waldhauser wants to go to the cabinet standing near the door, but Mark holds him back. Basti and Ella walk on either side of Nina towards a table in the center of the bookshelves. Basti pulls out 3 chairs and he and Ella sit down next to Nina when a loud snap of breaking wood startles them and they turn their heads to look at the storage room. Mark emerges from the dark doorway with half a broomstick in his hand. Man, could you be any louder? Says Ella. Next time give us some warning, says Basti. He gets up and walks towards Mark, but he darts to the door to the hallway. Drager and Waldhauser meet him at the door and Basti joins them only a second or two later. Next time I will, Basti, Mark says. He pushes a broom between the door handle and the floor and pushes on it to make it wedge solidly. This will work and it's easier than moving the cabinets back. Look at Mark, what an idea. You're cooler than I thought, says Drager. Great idea, says Basti. Mark bends over and inspects the point under the door handle where the broomstick makes contact. I have a lot of good ideas. We need to make sure that this holds. We need some cord or cable from the storage room. Basti, please? Just because you asked me so nicely, says Basti and enters the storage room. Mark leans over and says quietly, Weird. What's weird? Drager asks back. You know, when I was standing out there in the hallway, something sprung to my mind. It's dark in here. Basti's voice rings hollowly from the storage room. He starts rummaging through the junk. What idea? Have you ever wondered if the shooter might be one of us? What? One of us? Says Ella, shocked at the thought. Well, Basti does have an interest in homemade bombs, Drager says. How do you know that? Asks Ella. I read it from his account. There was a lot of stuff like that. He was the last one in here, says Mark. But Basti, says Ella. Did you call me? Shouts Basti from the storage room. No, says Mark. Basti can't hear. He speaks to the others. Think about it. Nina, you were first. Then me, then you, and then came... Basti struts out of the storage room with a black cord. Found it, even in the dark. What's up? Stop, shouts Mark. What? Mark points the other half of the broomstick handle to an invisible spot on the floor in front of Basti. Stop right there. He continues to walk towards the group. Stop, Drager says as he raises his fists. You heard what he said. Basti freezes and then raises his arms to ward off the attack. Hey, what? Ella starts to yell at Mark and Drager. What are you doing? What the... Stop it, it's Basti. Mark speaks first. After the last shot was fired, your Basti here was the last one to come in here. I think it's pretty suspicious to be the last one to leave the scene of a shooting. I didn't, says Basti. What the hell are you talking about? We heard a bomb or a grenade explode, says Drager. And guess who likes to look up stuff like that on the internet? You. That's not true, he says. You're lying. No, I'm not. Lying. What does the anarchist cookbook say? Drager asks as his eyes narrow. Basti glances from the others back to Drager. Did you read my account? You read my account. You've been sniffing around. You... Good thing too, says Drager. I found several links on your account to extremist political sites and how to build bombs. Basti, says Ella. The 5 of them gather around Basti, with Drager, Mark and Waldhauser standing protectively in front of the girls. Ella, Here, that's something totally different. That's nothing to do with shooting. Bombs? Homemade bombs? Nothing? Really? Asked Drager. No, I didn't want to, but you wanted to see how it was done. Everybody does. I don't, Drager says. Neither do we, say Mark and Walthauser at the same time. Basti begins to empty his pockets frantically. If that's true, don't you think I would have something in here like a gun that would make me a suspect? Look, here. Some keys, a red lighter, and 2 wrapped condoms fall on the floor. Always prepared, huh? Says Drager. You could have hidden the gun or thrown it away, says Mark. Nonsense. I think it's better for you to go back into the closet and stay there until the police arrive. I'm not your prisoner. Call it self-protection, says Drager, closing in on him. You are so wrong, he says as he walks past Drager to the door. Drager grabs his arm and throws Basti back against the computer table, knocking the monitor down. The computer lands with a bang and shatters. Walthauser and Drager drag Basti into the storage room, causing him to stumble and fall backwards to the ground. A shocked Basti stares at everyone from his position on the floor. Mark says, We'll keep the door open so we can keep an eye on you. 10:18 a.m. Basti pulls himself up with the help of the boxes and crates in the room. Ella! Ella! She shrugs her shoulders and goes to comfort Nina. The 2 girls hold each other tightly. I did not. If it's one of us, then the most likely suspects would be obviously the 2 of them, he says, pointing to Drager and Walthauser. They are the most capable of doing such a thing. Now what makes you say that? Asks Drager back. Well, Columbine, there were 2... Shut up, interrupts Mark. Did you hear that, Walthauser? Says Drager. After all we have done for him? He didn't help move the cabinet back. I connected the PC to the internet. What did you do for us exactly? Basti takes out his anger on a full box of notepads. It bursts apart as it lands on the floor. You both have the most reasons to cause any shit at the school. Shit, thank you, says Drager sarcastically as he and Walthauser both clap. You both came in after me, says Basti. He trips over the notepads on the floor. Walthauser gives him a kick in the shin and forces him back into the storage room. Drager pats his pocket where his dead phone is and says, Yes, but as my video clearly showed, we were the ones being hunted. That's not the impression I got. All you did was squat down and film everything. Maybe everybody was running from you. We stood first and then we squatted down. The shooter went in the opposite direction. Is that correct, Walthauser? I keep hearing we. Does he always speak for you? Mark interjects. That's enough already. Basti only wants us to gang up on each other. Perhaps each of us should empty our pockets. I've shown you all that's in mine. Maybe now it's your turn. Maybe not, says Drager. Wow, that was some reaction, says Basti. Ella nods. That's right. I would love to see what you all have in your pockets. I wouldn't, Nina whispers. No way, says Drager. Walthauser folds his arms across his chest and leans against the door frame. He didn't even want to look out the window, Basti says. It wasn't me. Mark is standing next to Ella. Whatever. Mark checks his jacket pockets, but they are empty. Out of his pants, he pulls a bunch of keys. You happy now? Basti nods at Drager. Your turn. What for? Never, says Drager. Hey, you're the suspect. Just because you do something doesn't mean I have to. Mark shrugs his shoulders. Of course not, but we have to stick together. This is a day we will never forget. We are all on the same side, Drager. We have to trust each other. Walthauser walks from the door frame over to the desk. 10:19 a.m. What are you doing? Asks Drager. Here, says Walthauser, and he opens the zipper of his left jacket pocket, fishes out 3 wallets, and lays them on the table. What the hell? Says Drager. From the other pocket he scoops out 2 handful of coins, crumpled bundles of 5s, 10s, 20s. He puts them all on the table. Basti watches in awe as some coins roll off the table and Walthauser continues to empty his pockets. He pulls out 2 keys on a keychain, the Swiss Army knife, a lighter, cigarette rolling paper, tobacco, and a clear plastic bag the size of a credit card with some weed. That's everything. You kidding me? Mark exclaims. You stupid afterbirth, says Drager. Ella points to the pile of money. That's That's not all yours, is it? Drager's voice cracks as he speaks. Please explain how you have 3 wallets. They are all yours, right? You feel safer with them. You have them in case you get mugged, so you can give one and still have the other 2. Basti interrupts him, holding on to the door for protection. Shh, did you guys steal that from the victims? What? No. Then Waldhauser starts shouting. No, I didn't shoot anybody. I did not shoot anybody. I steal, yes, but I'm not a killer. So who do they belong to? Asks Mark. Waldhauser, warns Drager. He doesn't listen to him. When everyone left and the hallway was empty, I saw a wallet lying on the ground. Someone must have lost it, so... Oh, you wanted to bring it to the lost and found, says Basti. No, I didn't. I mean, we didn't. We thought it would be a good idea to check the jackets hanging on the coat hooks, too. You're such an idiot, says Drager. I can't believe it, Basti says. You were just thinking about yourself amongst all that was happening? No, it was after there was nothing, no noises, just us. Everyone was gone. Mark looks at Drager and says, So are your pockets full of money too? Drager quickly empties his jacket and pants pockets. Money, a few wallets, his phone, and half a dozen keychains fall onto the floor by his feet. Satisfied now? Says Drager. Then he looks at Ella. And now it's your turn. Why me? I don't have to. Neither does Nina. Where do you get that idea from? Because I'm a girl? So what? No girl does shit like this. It's always the guys. But you lied before, says Nina. Exactly. You lied about your whereabouts, so come on, Basti urges. She buries her hands in her pockets. Go. Slowly, from her left pocket, she pulls out a bunch of keys and puts them on the desk. She hesitates as she begins to check the other pocket. Come on. She pulls out a small, white plastic rod the size of a pen and places it on the table. Your turn, Nina. What have you got in your pockets? Nina leans forward to get a closer look at the plastic tube. That's a pregnancy test. You took a pregnancy test? So, says Ella with a matter-of-fact attitude. What? Says shocked Basti. And it's positive, says Nina. What? Congratulations, says Drager. What? Ella, you're pregnant? Yes, says Ella. From me? Says Basti. No, she says, from someone from the Glee Club. Of course from you. Without taking her eyes from the pregnancy test, Nina puts her things on the table, a key and a small knife in a black case. And what do we have here? Drager muses. When no one says anything, he carries on. It has a double-edged blade, right? Yes, it's my pocket knife. It's allowed because the knife is short. It's just for protection. In school? No, before and after. Nina brings a knife to school. Drager slowly pronounces every single word. Yes, but he has a knife too, she says and points to Waldhauser. Mine is a Swiss Army knife with a screwdriver, nail file and scissors. Your only does one thing, Waldhauser says, defending himself. A dark thing, adds Drager. Curious, he makes his way towards the desk where the knife lies next to the wallets. Basti uses this chance to escape from the confines of the storage room. 10:20 a.m. Basti runs for the shelves, swinging his arms back and forth as if it could help him to be faster. Drager takes off after him. Waldhauser waits on the other side of the shelves to cut him off. At the end of the aisle, Basti swerves and heads for the door. Mark body checks him, causing him to fly to one side, and Waldhauser punches Basti in the back. Despite the blow, he remains on his feet and slams into the bookshelf. The books fly everywhere, the pages fluttering like dead birds as they land on the floor. Before Drager gets to him, Basti makes a dash for the table. From his left, Drager jumps over the table and tries to grab him. Drager emerges from behind the chairs as they all collapse onto Basti. Drager's jump is too short, and he hits the edge of the table and crashes into the chairs. The wood shatters under his weight and splinters dig into his side, causing him to cry out in pain. Basti crawls out of the chaos and manages to stand up. Waldhauser is next to Drager on the floor when he sees Basti. He throws himself onto him, using his full weight. The impact causes another shelf to overturn. Books rain down on them as they try to maintain their balance in the midst of falling paper and steel. Each shelf tilts against the next one, creating a domino effect that takes down an entire row. Nina and Ella have to jump to safety. They land in the doorway of the storage room. It's raining books everywhere. It sounds like the noise of an excavator throwing earth into the back of a truck. Neither Walthauser nor Basti are able to stand up before a shelf falls over and lands at a 45-degree angle on the floor. The two are waist high in books. When the shelves have toppled and the last of the books are sprawled out on the floor, Basti and Walthauser try to break free. Basti has more luck than Walthauser. Both begin to cough as they inhale the dust that has settled on the books over the years. Walthauser calls out, "I'm stuck! My foot is caught!" The two girls stand in the doorway of the storage room and see Mark climbing the mountain of chipboard, metal, and paper. Drager peeks out from behind the table and makes his way over. "Stop!" calls Walthauser. "I can't get out." Desperately, Walthauser tries to lift the shelf off of himself, but it doesn't budge. Mark slips on the loose books and slides down. Drager tries crawling up and has better luck. Basti is now sitting on a broken shelf, trying to get his legs free from the fallen books. In his desperate attempt to free himself, Walthauser stops and sees something between the books. He opens his eyes wide. "Guys, here's a gun." "What?" asks Basti. "Drager," shouts Walthauser, and he shows him the black gun lying on a biography of Darwin. "Throw it to me," shouts Mark. "Under no circumstances do you let Basti get it." "Don't touch it. There might be fingerprints on it," roars Drager. Walthauser looks helplessly from one to the other. Suddenly Basti says, "If that's the murder weapon, then one of you is a shooter." Basti goes for the gun, but when Walthauser pretends to throw it to Drager, Basti stumbles towards the storage room, where the two girls are standing. He grabs both of them and takes them into the storage room with him. In a state of panic, he slams the door shut and the room goes completely dark. 10:21 a.m. Mark, Walthauser, and Drager don't let the storage room out of sight. Drager calls out, "Ella, Nina, you okay?" A muffled yes is heard through the door. Mark hisses to the others, "Basti's bluffing. He has tricked them." "I'm going to put that thing to one side and dig my way out of here," says Walthauser. He leans forward and lays down the book with the gun on it between himself and the guys. 3 sets of eyes dart like balls in a pinball machine from one to the other and back to the gun again. Walthauser digs frantically, throwing books around as he pulls on his leg. "I can't get out of here. Help me." Books fly everywhere, including an atlas that almost lands on Drager's foot. He moves away as the huge book lands between his legs, revealing a phone on the floor. "A phone?" he cries out and picks it up. "Let me see," says Mark. Immediately Drager starts to push the buttons with a thumb. "It's on keylock." "Ah," says Walthauser. "Oh crap," says Mark. The screen shows 8 missed calls. An incoming call lights up the display. Mother. No ringtone is heard, no humming. It is set to silent. "Basti, phone's for you," calls Drager. "It's your mom." Drager indicates the gun between them. He smiles and gives a thumbs up to Mark. Drager picks up the phone, switches to speaker, and without saying anything he holds it up in the direction of the storage room. A woman's voice calls out, "Mark! Mark! Say something, Mark!" The woman's voice can be heard through the door of the storage room. Ella turns to Basti. "Mark?" "Mark is a shooter," Basti whispers. Nina suppresses a cry. "Go out and help," says Ella. "No, there's a gun out there." 10:22 a.m. Drager and Mark bump heads as they try to grab the gun at the same time. Mark gets it, and Drager holds his wrist with both hands. The phone drops and lands between the books. The two guys roll around fighting for the gun. Walthauser tries to free himself. "Help!" Mark's mother hears their fighting. "Mark! Mark! Oh God, say something! Mark, boy, what's going on?" "Help, Basti! Help!" calls Drager. "Basti!" calls Walthauser as he continues trying to free his leg. Mark punches Drager in the ribs. Drager moans loudly but doesn't let go. His mother screams, "Mark! Mark!" Also, a crowd can be heard on the phone in the background. Journalists are asking questions and someone is telling her she shouldn't try to break through the police barricades. Mark screams, "Mom! Drager, Sven Drager is a shooter. No, you asshole. Drager grunts furiously, trying with all his might to twist Mark's arm. Mark's a shooter. Your boy, Mark. The door to the storage room opens. Nina tries to squeeze out, but Basti puts one foot in front of the door so that it can't be opened any further. With his hands, he tries to pull her fingers from the doorknob. Stop! No, let me go. No! Leave me alone. Ella wraps her arms around Nina's chest and pulls her away from the door. No, let me go. I want to help. Basti closes the door. You can't help. He has a gun. She throws herself to the floor and crawls over to the door. Basti stops her with his back and uses his arms to navigate around in the darkness. Ella holds onto Nina's leg. A shot is heard. 10:23 a.m. The bullet rips through several books, causing bits of paper to fly through the air. Mark's mother screams at the other end of the line. Waldhauser calls out in panic. Basti! 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 Drager and Mark are rolling closer to the phone. A man's voice is heard. This is the police. Where are you? In the library, shouts Drager. Sven Drager is a shooter. Sven Drager is a shooter, Mark calls out before he destroys the phone with a single punch. The action causes him to lose the gun to Drager, who then sits down on Mark and grins. Drager holds the gun with both hands and aims at Mark's face, shaking. You asshole, you fucking asshole. Mark doesn't resist, even though his arms are free. Waldhauser calls out, Basti, you can come out now. Drager has a gun and he's holding Mark down. The door opens a crack, then all the way, and Basti shouts, Drager, no! What? The last thing the cops heard was that I was a killer. Exactly, put the gun away. Basti rushes through the sea of books to Drager and Mark. He is followed closely by Nina and Ella. Why should I? Asks Drager, spraying spit into Mark's face. Basti struggles on the books. He falls and picks himself up again. They know where we are now. What are they going to think if they see you like that? Put that thing away. Put it away. Waldhauser looks at Basti running right past him, and he turns to the girls. Help me! I'm stuck! But both girls trudge past him over the landscape of books. Drager looks from Mark's face to the gun in his hands. With a quick flick of the wrist, he throws the gun over Mark's head, and it lands several feet away, spinning on the floor. Now my fingerprints are on it, says Drager, and Mark grins. Without warning, Drager punches him in the nose. His smile disappears and blood splatters everywhere, leaving Mark gasping and swallowing blood. Drager grabs Mark's jacket with his fists and, as if reading Mark's mind, says, Now we're even. Basti finally makes it over and kneels down beside them. Nina and Ella stand behind him. Stop it, that's enough, Basti says. My fingerprints are on the weapon. Think about it, we are witnesses. Drager's body relaxes. Now we just have to wait until the police arrive. They know where we are. It won't be long now, says Basti. 10:24 a.m. You are the weirdo, Drager shouts at Mark. Yes, says Mark. I am the school shooter. Why? Asks Basti. Why did you do it? Mark raises and drops his arms. I don't get it. Ella bends down. Did you shoot anyone? I don't know. Blood runs from his nose down the sides of his cheeks. He licks it off of his upper lip. You must have, she says. She kicks him with her foot. Drops of blood. Who are they from? I don't know. Who? I don't know. Where did you get the gun from? Asks Basti. From home. Father? Yes. You stole it? Yes. And the bomb? It was a bomb, wasn't it? Homemade. Nina bursts out. Why? 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 Her body trembles. Mark looks at the ceiling and tears roll down his face. He turns to the side and spits blood. Talk, Drager says. I wanted to be remembered. By who? Asks Basti. Everyone. By all of them out there, he yells. Who are you talking about? Luke? Kai? Everybody who watches internet, TV, whatever. Do you know every idiot you see there? Asked Basti. Yes. Who is the defense minister? I don't know. My point, exactly. And he's always in the news. And that is what is going to happen to you. What makes you think you're different? It's because I've done something bad. Nazis did too. And I bet you don't know 3 of their names. He's quiet. Basti swears. But what about all the people that witnessed that out there? They will get help, that's all. They need help. What did you think was going to happen after this? Asks Ella. They will set up websites in my memory, build virtual monuments, videos, immortalize me. Immortal in something dead. The virtual world, says Ella. And who makes those websites? Demented guys like you, says Basti. With shorties between their legs, adds Ella. You little piece of shit, Draga says. Mark replies in a choked voice. So says the innocent one. What? Mark continues. Why did you have to throw my sneakers in the tree? Because you... What? That was a joke, says Draga. Not for me. What do you mean? You can't blame this on me. You didn't make my life any easier. Basti interjects. You were the first one in the room. Why didn't you just kill us when we came in, one after the other? Slowly, Mark points to Ella. They all wait to hear what he has to say. He looks at her and smiles and then says, She hugged me. Ella hides her face in her hands and turns away. What? Yes. Because I hugged you? You didn't... Because I hugged you? Yes, Ella, I haven't been hugged like that in a long time, very long time. He shuts his eyes and tries to stop himself from crying. Helplessly, they all look at each other. Only Mark's sobs and sniffles can be heard. What about your parents, your mother? Asks Nina. Mark rolls his eyes and then squeezes his eyelids together. Tears roll down his cheeks. And then, starts Basti, how did you imagine this all happening when did you decide to play innocent? Did you want to keep us all in the dark? No. I didn't think you would suspect me, and I thought that if nobody knew who did it, I could walk away unnoticed. Unnoticed? I bet someone saw you when you were running around with a gun. No one saw me. They were all too busy running away. Why didn't you want to go to the police if you were so sure? I wasn't sure, and I was enjoying the moment. What moment? With all of you. He turns his head away from the others. In the silence, Waldhauser shouts, People, hey, I need some help here. I'm still stuck. Draga turns around to help his friend. Mark uses this chance to punch him in the stomach. Draga collapses forward. He grabs a book and starts to beat Mark with it. They continue to fight, landing on Basti and Ella. Mark makes a dive for the gun. Basti tries to get out from under Draga's weight as Waldhauser shouts and Nina screams. Ella throws herself on Mark's back, only to be pushed back onto the pile of books. He grabs the gun and aims it at them. He spits out blood. Stay put. Don't move. They all freeze. Ella is on her knees. Mark and Nina are standing, and Draga lies sideways on the floor with one hand on his head and the other between his legs. Waldhauser's mouth hangs open. If there are no witnesses, other than me, then Draga was the shooter. No one says anything. Right? Not if your hands are full of gunshot residues. They can check your hands to see if you fired a gun, Basti says. Why would they? Suddenly, Nina darts in Mark's direction. Ella cries, No! Mark shoots. Nina's legs give out and she falls to the floor beside him. Ella howls. Mark's eyes dart from her to his gun, from his gun to Waldhauser, from Waldhauser to the others, and then back to the gun. Nina turns and moans, holding her side. Then Mark aims the gun at his own temple. A flicker of sunlight hits the wall. A shot. His arm holding the gun is forced back. He twirls around. The gun clatters against the door. He goes to his knees and cries in pain. Shards of glass fly behind them and fall to the floor. They turn around. Against the sun, the shadows reveal a helmeted police officer of the task force, his gun pointing in the library. School Shooter, written and narrated by Thorsten Nash. School Shooter is available as short novel on Kindle and as pocketbook on Amazon with my other novels and audiobooks. Link is in the description. The novel was translated by Heidi Gertz, edited by Andrea Kubala. The music you're listening to is by Max Wuerden with the track It from his album All Lost. And if you have listened up to here, I dare to imagine you liked what you heard. Then please like it or subscribe or write a little review. It would be amazing. Tell others, share, or even consider purchasing this novel or another one of mine, of course. However, thanks for listening. And if you have questions or comments, just drop a line. Thanks. Cheers.